Chapter 4 Opportunities. Monday, 15th, July 1991. Camden Town and Primrose Hill. Attention, please. Can I have your attention? Attention, everyone. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking. Please. Please. Thank you. Right. I just want to go through today's menu, if I may. I do believe we've already read this. It's like a repeat of the last one. I'm sorry, I'm confused. It's like the same. Okay, sorry. Right, I just want to go through today's menu if I may. First of all, the so-called specials. We've got a sweet corn chowder and a turkey chimichanga. Turkey in July, said Ian Whitehead from the bar, where he was cutting lime wedges to jam into the necks of bottles of beer. Now it's Monday today, continued Scott. Should be nice and quiet, so I want this place spotless. I've checked the rota, and Ian, you're on toilets. The other staff scoffed. Why is it always me? Moaned Ian. Because you do it so beautifully, said his best friend Emma Morley, and Ian took the opportunity to throw an arm around her hunched shoulders, jockily welding a knife in a light-hearted downwards stabbing motion. And when you two have finished, Emma, can you come and see me in my office, please? Said Scott. The other staff sniggered insinuatingly. Emma disentangled herself from Ian, and Rashid, the bartender, pressed play on the greasy tape deck behind the bar. La Cucaracha, the cockroach, a joke that wasn't funny anymore, repeated until the end of time. So I'll come straight out with it. Take a seat. Scott lit a cigarette, and Emma hoisted herself onto the bar stool opposite his large, untidy desk. A wall of boxes filled with vodka, tequila, and cigarettes, the stock deemed most nickable, blocked out the July sunlight in a small dark room that smelt of ashtrays and disappointment. Scott kicked his feet up onto the desk. The fact is, I'm leaving. You are? Head office have asked me to head up the new branch of Hail Caesars in Ealing. What's Hail Caesars? Big new chain of contemporary Italians. Called Hail Caesars? That is correct. Why not Mazzolini's? They're going to do to Italian what they've done to Mexican. What, fuck it up? Scott looked hurt. Give me a break, will you, Emma? I'm sorry, Scott, really. Congratulations. Well done. Really. She stopped short because she realized what was coming next. The point is, he interlocked his fingers and leaned forward on the desk, as this was something that he'd seen businessmen do on television, and felt a little aphrodisiac rush of power. They've asked me to appoint my own replacement as manager, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I want someone who isn't going anywhere, someone reliable who isn't going to run off to India without giving proper notice or drop it all for some exciting job. Someone I can rely on to stick around here for a couple of years and really devote themselves to... Emma, are you crying? Emma shielded her eyes with both hands. Sorry, Scott, it's just you've caught me at a bad time, that's all. Scott frowned, stalled between compassion and irritation. Here, he yanked a roll of coarse blue kitchen paper from a catering pack. Sort yourself out. And he tossed the roll across the desk so that it bounced off Emma's chest. Is it something I said? No, it's just a personal, private thing. Just boils up every now and then. So embarrassing. She pressed 2 wads of rough blue paper against her eyes. Sorry, you were saying? I've lost my place now, you bursting into tears like that. I think you were telling me that my life was going nowhere? And she began to laugh and cry at the same time. She grabbed a third piece of kitchen paper and wadded it against her mouth. Scott waited until her shoulders had stopped heaving. So are you interested in the job or not? You mean to say, she placed her hand on a 20-liter tub of Thousand Island dressing, all this could one day be mine? Emma, if you don't want the job, just say. But I have been doing it for 4 years now. And you've done really well, Scott. The money's adequate, you'd never have to clean the toilets again, and I appreciate the offer. So why the waterworks, then? Just, I've been a little depressed, that's all. Depressed. Scott frowned as if hearing the word for the first time. You know, a bit blue. Right, I see. He contemplated putting a paternal arm around her, but it would mean climbing over a 10-gallon drum of mayonnaise. So instead, he leaned further across the desk. Is it boy trouble? Emma laughed once. Hardly, Scott. It's nothing. You just caught me at a low ebb, that's all. She shook her head vigorously. See, all gone. Right as rain. Let's forget it. So what do you think about being manager? Can I think about it? Tell you tomorrow. Scott smiled benignly and nodded. Go on then, take a break. He stretched an arm toward the door, adding with infinite compassion, Go get yourself some nachos. In the empty staff room, Emma glared at the plate of steaming cheese and corn chips as if it was an enemy that must be defeated. Standing suddenly, she crossed to Ian's locker and plunged her hand into the densely packed denim until she found some cigarettes. She took one, lit it, then lifted her spectacles and inspected her eyes in the cracked mirror, licking her finger to remove the telltale smears. Her hair was long these days, stylish in a color that she thought of as lank mousse. She pulled a strand from the scrunchie that held it in place and ran finger and thumb along its length, knowing that when she washed it she would turn the shampoo gray. City hair. She was pale from too many late shifts and plump too. For some months now she had been putting skirts on over her head. She blamed all those refried beans. Fried, then fried again. Fat girl, she thought. Stupid fat girl. This being one of the slogans currently playing in her head, along with a third of your life gone, and what's the point of anything? Emma's mid-20s had brought a second adolescence even more self-absorbed and doom-laden than the first one. Why don't you come home, sweetheart? Her mum had said on the phone last night, using her quavering, concerned voice, as if her daughter had been abducted. Your room's still here. There's jobs at Debenhams, and for the first time she had been tempted. Once she had thought she could conquer London. She had imagined a whirl of literary salons, political engagement, larky parties, bittersweet romances conducted on Thames embankments. She had intended to form a band, make short films, write novels, but 2 years on the slim volume of verse was no fatter, and nothing really good had happened to her since she'd been baton charged at the poll tax riots. The city had defeated her, just like they said it would. Like some overcrowded party, no one had noticed her arrival and no one would notice if she left. It wasn't that she hadn't tried. The idea of a career in publishing had floated itself. Her friend Stephanie Shaw had got a job on graduation and it had transformed her. No more pints of lager or black for Stephanie Shaw. These days she drank white wine, wore neat little suits from Jigsaw, and handed out kettle chips at dinner parties. At Stephanie's advice, Emma had written letters to publishers, to agents, then to bookshops, but nothing. There was a recession on, and people were clinging to their jobs with grim determination. She thought about taking refuge in education, but the government had ended student grants, and there was no way she could afford the fees. There was voluntary work for Amnesty International, perhaps, but rent and travel ate up all her money. Loco Caliente ate up all her time and energy. She had a fanciful notion that she might read novels aloud to blind people, but was this an actual job or just something that she'd seen in a film? When she had the energy, she would find out. For now, she would sit at the table and glare at her lunch. The industrial cheese had set solid like plastic, and in sudden disgust, Emma pushed it away and reached into her bag, pulling out an expensive new black leather notebook with a stubby fountain pen clipped to the cover. Turning to a fresh new page of creamy white paper, she quickly began to write. Nachos. It was the nachos that did it. The steaming variegated mess, like the mess of her life, summing up all that was wrong with her life. Time for change, comes the voice from the street. Outside on the Kentish Town Road, there's laughter. But here, in the smoky attic room, there are only the nachos. Cheese, like life, has become hard and cold, like plastic, and there's no laughter in the high room. Emma stopped writing, then looked away and stared at the ceiling as if giving someone a chance to hide. She looked back at the page in the hope of being surprised by the brilliance of what was there. She shuddered and gave a long groan, then laughed, shaking her head as she methodically scratched out each line, cross-hatching on top of this until each word was obliterated. Soon there was so much ink that it had soaked through the paper. She turned back to a page where the blots had seeped through and glanced at what was written here. Edinburgh, morning 4 a.m. We lie in the single bed and talk about the future, make our guesses, and as he speaks I look at him, think, handsome, stupid word, and think, might this be it, the elusive thing? Blackbirds sing outside and the sunlight warms the curtains. Once more she shuddered as if peeking beneath a bandage and snapped the notebook shut. Good God, the elusive thing. She had reached a turning point. She had no longer believed that a situation could be made better by writing a poem about it. Putting the notebook away, she reached for yesterday's Sunday mirror instead and began to eat the nachos, the elusive nachos. Surprised all over again at how very comforting very bad food can be. Ian was in the doorway. That guy's here again. What guy? Your friend, the handsome one. He's got some girl with him. And immediately Emma knew which guy Ian was talking about. She watched them from the kitchen, nose pressed against the greasy glass of the circular window as they slumped insolently in a central booth, sipping gaudy drinks and laughing at the menu. The girl was long and slim with pale skin, black eye makeup, and black hair, cut short and expensively asymmetrical, her long legs in sheer black leggings and high-ankled boots. Both a little drunk, they were misbehaving in that self-consciously wild and reckless way that people slip into when they know they're being watched. Pop video behavior, and Emma thought how satisfying it would be to stride out onto the restaurant floor and coach them both with tidy packed burritos of the day. Two big hands draped on her shoulders. Showing, said Ian, resting his chin on her head. Who is she? No idea, Emma rubbed at the mark on her nose. Oh. No idea. Emma rubbed at the mark her nose had made on the window. I lose track. She's a new one, then. Dexter has a very short attention span, like a baby, or a monkey. You need to dangle something shiny in front of him. So that's what this girl is, she thought, something shiny. So do you think it's true what they say about girls liking bastards? He's not a bastard, he's an idiot. Do girls like idiots, then? Dexter had stuck his cocktail umbrella behind his ear now, the girl collapsing into enchanted laughter at the genius of it. Certainly seems that way, said Emma. What was it, she wondered, this need to brandish his shiny new metropolitan life at her? As soon as she'd met him at the arrivals gate on his return from Thailand, lithe and brown and shaven-headed, she knew that there was no chance of a relationship between them. Too much had happened to him, too little had happened to her. Even so, this would be the third girlfriend, lover, whatever, that she had met in the last 9 months. Dexter presenting them up to her like a dog with a fat pigeon in his mouth. Was it some kind of sick revenge for something? Because she had a better degree than him? Didn't he know what this was doing to her? Sat at table 9 with their groins jammed in each other's faces. Can't you go, Ian? It's your section. He asked for you. She sighed, wiped her hands on her apron, removed the baseball cap from her head to minimize the shame, and pushed the swing door open. So, do you want to hear the specials or what? Dexter stood up quickly, untangling himself from the girl's long limbs, and threw his arms around his old friend. Hey there, how are you, Em? Big hug. Since starting to work in the TV industry, he had developed a mania for hugging, or for big hugging. The company of TV presenters had rubbed off on him, and he spoke to her now less like an old friend, more like our next very special guest. Emma, he placed one hand on the girl's bare, bony shoulder, forming a chain between them. This is Naomi, pronounced Nomi. Hello, Nomi, smiled Emma. Naomi smiled back, the drinking straw nipped tight between white teeth. Hey, come and join us for a margarita. Boozy and sentimental, he tugged on Emma's hand. Can't, Dex, I'm working. Come on, 5 minutes, I want to buy you a drink. A drink. I mean a drink. Ian joined them now, his notebook poised. So shall I get you guys something to eat? He asked convivially. The girl wrinkled her nose. I don't think so. Dexter, you've met Ian, haven't you? Said Emma quickly. No, I haven't, said Dexter. Yes, several times, said Ian, and there was a moment of silence as they stood there, the staff and the customers. So, Ian, can we get 3 of the Remember the Alamo margaritas? 2 or 3? Em, are you joining us? Dexter, I told you I'm working. Okay, in that case, do you know what? We'll leave it then. Just the bill, please. Ian left, and Dexter beckoned to Emma in a low voice, said, Hey, look, is there any way I can, what? Give you the money for the drinks. Emma stared blankly. I don't understand. What I mean is there any way I can, tip you? Tip me? Exactly, tip you. Why? No reason, Em, said Dex. I just really, really want to tip you. And Emma felt another small portion of her soul fall away. On Primrose Hill, Dexter slept in the evening sun, shirt unbuttoned, hands beneath his head, a half-empty bottle of Grocer's white wine warming by his side as he slipped from the hangover of the afternoon into drunkenness again. The parched yellow grass of the hill was crowded with young professional people, many straight from their offices, talking and laughing as three different stereos competed with each other, and Dexter lay in the center of it all and dreamt about television. The idea of being a professional photographer had been abandoned without much of a fight. He knew that he was a decent amateur, probably always would be, but to become exceptional, a Cartier-Bresson, a Kappa, or a Brandt would require toil, rejection, and struggle, and he wasn't sure if struggle suited him. Television, on the other hand, television wanted him right now. Why hadn't he thought of it before? Growing up, there had always been a television in the home, but there was something a little unwholesome about watching the thing. Now, in the last 9 months, it had suddenly come to dominate his life. He was a convert. And with the passion of the new recruit, he found himself getting quite emotional about the medium, as if he had finally found a spiritual home. And no, it didn't have the arty gleam of photography or the credibility of reporting from a war zone, but TV mattered. TV was the future. Democracy in action. It touched people's lives in the most immediate way, shaped opinions, provoked and entertained and engaged, far more effectively than all those books that no one read or plays that no one went to see. Emma could say what she liked about the Tories. Dexter was no fan either, though more for reasons of style than principle, but they had certainly shaken up the media. Until recently, broadcasting had seemed stuffy, worthy and dull. Heavily unionized, gray and bureaucratic, full of bearded lifters and do-gooders and old dears pushing trolleys, the sort of showbiz branch of the civil service. Red Light Productions, on the other hand, was part of the boom of new, youthful, privately owned, independent companies wresting the means of production away from those fusty old Rethian dinosaurs. There was money in the media. The facts sang out from the primary colored, open plan offices with their state of the art computer systems and generous communal fridges. His rise through this world had been meteoric. The woman he had met on a train in India with the glossy black bob and tiny spectacles had given him his first job as a runner, then a researcher, and now he was assistant producer you on Up For It, a weekend magazine program that mixed live music and outrageous stand-up with reports on issues that really affect young people today. STDs, drugs, dance music, drugs, police brutality, drugs. Dexter produced hyperactive little films of grim housing estates, shot from crazy angles through fish-eye lenses. The clouds speeded up to a soundtrack of Acid House. There was even talk of putting him in front of the cameras in the next series. He was excelling, he was flying, and there seemed to be every possibility that he might make his parents proud. I work in TV. Just saying it gave him satisfaction. He liked striding down Berwick Street to an edit suite with a jiffy bag of videotapes, nodding at people just like him. He liked the sushi platters and the launch parties. He liked drinking from water coolers and ordering couriers and saying things like, "We've got to lose 6 seconds." Secretly, he liked the fact that it was one of the better-looking industries and one that valued youth. No chance in this brave new world of TV of walking into a conference room to find a group of 62-year-olds brainstorming. What happened to TV people when they reached a certain age? Where did they go? Never mind, it suited him, as did the preponderance of young women like Naomi. Hard, ambitious, metropolitan. In rare moments of self-doubt, Dexter had once worried that a lack of intellect might hold him back in life, but here was a job where confidence, energy, perhaps even a certain arrogance were what mattered, all qualities that lay within his grasp. Yes, you had to be smart, but not Emma smart, just politic, shrewd, ambitious. He loved his new flat in nearby Belsize Park, all dark wood and gunmetal, and he loved London, spread out vast and hazy before him on this St. Swithin's Day, and he wanted to share all this excitement with Emma, introduce her to new possibilities, new experiences, new social circles, to make her life more like his own. Who knows, perhaps Naomi and Emma might even become friends. Soothed by these thoughts, and on the verge of sleep, he was woken by a shadow across his face. He opened one eye, squinting up. "Hello, beautiful." Emma kicked him sharply in the hip. "Ow! Don't you ever do that again." "Do what?" "You know what. Like I'm in a zoo, you poking me with a stick laughing." "I wasn't laughing at you. I watched you, sat straddling your girlfriend, chuckling away." "She isn't my girlfriend, and we were laughing at the menu." "You were laughing at where I work." "So? You do." "Yes, because I work there. I'm laughing in the face of adversity. You're just laughing in my face." "I would never ever. That's what it feels like." "Well, I apologize." "Good." She folded her legs beneath her and sat next to him. "Now do your shirt up and pass me the bottle." "And she really isn't my girlfriend." He fastened 3 low shirt buttons, waiting for her to take the bait. When she didn't, he prodded again. "We're just sleeping together every now and then, that's all." As the possibility of a relationship had faded, Emma had endeavored to harden herself to Dexter's indifference, and these days a remark like this caused no more pain than, say, a tennis ball thrown sharply at the back of her head. These days she barely even flinched. "That's nice for you both, I'm sure." She poured wine into a plastic cup. "So she's not your girlfriend. What do I call her?" "I don't know. Lover?" "Doesn't that imply affection?" "How about conquest?" He grinned. "Can I say conquest these days?" "Or victim. I like victim." Emma lay back suddenly and squeezed her fingers awkwardly into the pockets of her jeans. "You can have that back and all." She tossed a tightly wadded 10-pound note onto his chest. "No way." "Yes way." "That's yours." "Dexter, listen to me. You don't tip friends." "It's not a tip, it's a gift." "And cash is not a gift. If you want to buy me something that's very nice, but not cash, it's embarrassing." He sighed and stuffed the money back into his pocket. "I apologize. Again." "Fine," she said, and lay down beside him. "Go on, then. Tell me all about it." Grinning, he raised himself up on his elbows. "So we were having this wrap party at the weekend." Wrap party, she thought. He has become someone who goes to wrap parties. "And I'd seen her around at the office, so I went over to say hi, hello, welcome to the team, very formal, hand outstretched, and she smiled up at me, winked, put her hand on the back of my head, and pulled me towards her, and he lowered his voice to a thrilled whisper, kissed me, right?" "Kissed you, right?" said Emma, as another tennis ball struck home, "and slipped something into my mouth with her tongue." "What was that?" I said, and she just winked and said, "You'll find out." A silence followed before Emma said, "Was it a peanut?" "No." "Little dry roasted peanut?" "No, it was a pill." "What, like a Tic Tac or something for your bad breath?" "I don't have bad. Haven't you told me this story before anyway?" "No, that was another girl." The tennis balls were coming thick and fast now, the odd cricket ball mixed in there too. Emma stretched and concentrated on the sky. "You've got to stop letting women slip drugs into your mouth, Dex. It's unhygienic and dangerous. One day it'll be a cyanide capsule." Dexter laughed. "So, do you want to hear what happened next?" She placed a finger on her chin. "Do I?" "Nope. I don't think so. No, I don't." But he told her anyway, the usual narrative about dark back rooms at clubs and late-night phone calls and taxis across the city at dawn. The endless eat-as-much-as-you-can buffet that was Dexter's sex life, and Emma made a conscious effort not to listen and just watch his mouth instead. It was a nice mouth, as she remembered, and if she were fearless, bold, and asymmetrical like this Naomi girl, she would lean over now and kiss him. And it occurred to her that she had never kissed anyone, that is, never initiated the kiss. She had been kissed, of course, suddenly and far too hard by drunken boys at parties, kisses that came swinging out of nowhere like punches. Ian had tried 3 weeks ago while she was mopping out the meat locker, looming in so violently that she had thought he was going to headbutt her. Even Dexter had kissed her once, many, many years ago. Would it really be so strange to kiss him back? What might happen if she were to do it now? Take the initiative, remove your spectacles, hold on to his head while he's still talking, and kiss him. Kiss him. So Naomi calls at 3 in the morning, says, "Get in the cab, right now." She had a perfectly clear mental picture of him wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, the kiss as custard pie. She let her head loll to the other side to watch the others on the hill. The evening light was starting to fade now, and 200 prosperous, attractive young people were throwing frisbees, lighting disposable barbecues, making plans for the evening, Yet she felt as far removed from these people with their interesting careers and CD players and mountain bikes as if it had been a TV commercial for vodka, perhaps, or small sporty cars. "Why don't you come home, sweetheart?" her mother had said on the phone last night. "Your room's still here." She looked back to Dexter, still narrating his own love life, then over his shoulder at a young couple, kissing aggressively, the woman kneeling astride the man, his arms flung back in surrender, their fingers interlocked. "Basically, we didn't leave the hotel room for like 3 days. Sorry, I stopped listening a while ago. I was just saying, what do you think she sees in you?" Dexter shrugged as if he didn't understand the question. "She says I'm complicated." "Complicated? You're like a two-piece jigsaw." She sat and brushed the grass from her shin. "In thick ply," then tugged the leg of her jeans a little higher. "Look at these legs," she held, a tiny twist of hair between her finger and thumb. "I've got the legs of some 58-year-old fell walker. I look like the president of the Ramblers Association." "So wax 'em then, Harry Mary." "Dexter! And anyway, you've got great legs." He leaned across and pinched her calves. "You're gorgeous." She knocked his elbow away so that he fell back onto the grass. "Can't believe you called me Harry Mary." Beyond him, the couple were still kissing. "Look at these two here. Don't stare." Dexter peered over his shoulder. "I can actually hear them. Over this distance, I can hear the suction. Like someone unblocking a sink. I said don't stare." "Why not? It's a public place." "Why would you go to a public place to behave like that? It's like a nature documentary. Maybe they're in love." "And is that what love looks like, all wet mouths and your skirt rucked up?" "Sometimes it is." "Looks like she's trying to fit his entire head in her mouth. She'll dislocate her jaw if she's not careful." "She's all right, though." "Dexter." "Well, she is, I'm just saying. You know, some people might think it's a bit weird, this obsession you've got with being in a constant state of intercourse. Some people might think it's a bit desperate and sad. Funny, I don't feel sad or desperate." Emma, who did feel these things, said nothing. Dexter nudged her with his elbow. "You know what we should do, me and you?" "What?" He grinned. "Take E together." "E? What's E?" she deadpanned. "Oh, yes, I believe I read an article about that. Don't think I'm cut out for mind-bending chemicals. I left the lid off the Tipex once, and I thought my shoes were trying to eat me." He laughed gratifyingly, and she hid her own smile in her plastic cup. "Anyway, I prefer the pure natural high of booze. It's very disinhibiting." "Is that why you're hugging everybody all the time?" "I just think you might have fun, that's all." "I am having fun. You have no idea how much fun." Lying on her back and staring at the sky, she could feel him looking at her. "So what about you?" he said, in what she thought of as his psychiatrist voice. "Any news, any action, love-wise, love life-wise?" "Oh, you know me, I have no emotions. I'm a robot, or a nun. A robot nun." "No, you're not. You pretend to be, but you're not." "Oh, I don't mind. I quite like it, getting old alone." "You're 25, Em." Turning into this blue stocking. Dexter wasn't sure what a blue stocking was, but nevertheless still felt a Pavlovian twinge of arousal at the word stocking. As she talked, he pictured her wearing blue stockings before deciding blue stockings wouldn't suit her, or anyone in fact, and that stockings should really only ever be black, or possibly red, like those ones Naomi had worn once, before deciding that maybe he was missing the point about the phrase blue stocking. This kind of erotic reverie occupied great swaths of Dexter's mental energy, and he wondered if perhaps Emma was right. Perhaps he was a little too distracted by the sexual side of things. Hourly, he was rendered idiotic by billboards, magazine covers, an inch of crimson bra strap on a passing stranger, and it was even worse in summer. Surely it wasn't natural to feel as if he'd just got out of prison all the time. Concentrate. Someone he cared for dearly was engaged in some kind of nervous collapse, and he should concentrate on that, rather than the 3 girls behind her who had just started a water fight. Concentrate, concentrate. He steered his thoughts away from the subject of sex, his brain as nimble as an aircraft carrier. "How about that guy?" he said. "What guy?" "At work, the waiter. Looks like captain of the computer club." "Ian? What about him?" "Why don't you go out with Ian?" "Shut up, Dexter. Ian's just a friend. Now pass the bottle, will you?" He watched as she sat and drank the wine, which had become warm and syrupy now. While not sentimental, there were times when Dexter could sit quietly and watch Emma Morley laughing or telling a story and feel absolutely sure that she was the finest person he knew. Sometimes he almost wanted to say this out loud, interrupt her and just tell her, but this was not one of those times, and instead he thought how tired she looked, sad and pale, and when she looked at the floor, her chin had started to pouch. Why didn't she get contact lenses instead of those big ugly spectacles? She wasn't a student anymore, and the velour scrunchies, she wasn't doing herself any favor with the scrunchies. What she really needed, he thought, ablaze with compassion, was someone to take her in hand and unlock her potential. He imagined a sort of montage, looking on patrician and kindly as Emma tried on a series of incredible new outfits. Yes, he really should pay Emma more attention, and he would do it too, if he didn't have so much happening at present. But in the short term, wasn't there something he could do to make her feel better about herself? Lift her spirits, give her self-confidence a boost? He had an idea and reached for her hand before announcing solemnly, "You know, Em, if you're still single when you're 40, I'll marry you." She looked at him with frank disgust. "Was that a proposal, Dexter?" "Not now, just at some point if we both get desperate." She laughed bitterly. "And what makes you think I'd want to marry you?" "Well, I'm sort of taking that as a given." She shook her head slowly. "Well, you'll have to join the queue, I'm afraid. My friend Ian said exactly the same thing to me while we were disinfecting the meat fridge. Except he only gave me until I was 35. Well, no offense to Ian, but I think you should definitely hold out for the extra 5 years." "I'm not holding out for either of you. I'm never getting married anyway." "Why do you know that? How do you know that?" She shrugged. "Wise old Gypsy told me. I suppose you disagree on political grounds or something." "Just not for me, that's all." "I can see you now. Big white dress, bridesmaids, little page boys, blue garter." Garter. His mind snagged on the word like a fish on a hook. "As a matter of fact, I think there are more important things in life than relationships." "What, like your career, you mean?" She shot him a look. "Sorry." They turned back to the sky, shading into night now, and after a moment she said, "Actually, my career took a bit an upturn today, if you must know." "You got fired?" "Promotion." She started to laugh. "I've been offered the job of a manager." Dexter sat up quickly. "In that place? You've got to turn it down." "Why do I have to turn it down? Nothing wrong with restaurant work." You could be mining uranium with your teeth, and that would be fine as long as you were happy. But you hate that job. You hate every single moment." "So? Most people hate their jobs. That's why they're called jobs." "I love my job." "Yeah, well, we can't all work in the media, can we?" She hated the tone of her voice now, sneering and sour. Worse still, she could feel hot, irritational. She could feel hot, irrational tears starting to form in the back of her eyes. "Hey, maybe I could get you a job." She laughed. "What job?" "With me at Red Light Productions." He was warming to the idea now. "As a researcher. You'd have to start as a runner, which is unpaid, but you'd be brilliant." "Dexter, thank you, but I don't want to work in the media. I know we're all meant to be desperate to work in the media these days, like the media is the best job in the world." "You sound hysterical," she thought, "jealous and hysterical. In fact, I don't even know what the media is." "Stop talking. Stay calm." What do you people do all day except stand around drinking bottled water and taking drugs and photocopying your bits?" "Hey, it's hard work, Em. If people treated, I don't know, nursing or social work or teaching with the same respect as they do the bloody media." "So be a teacher then. You'd be a fantastic teacher." "I want you to write on the board, 'I will not give my friend careers advice.'" She was talking too loud now, shouting almost, and a long silence followed. Why was she being like this? He was only trying to help. In what way did he benefit from this friendship? He should get up and walk away. That's what he should do. They turned to look at each other at the same time. "Sorry," he said. "No, I'm sorry." "What are you sorry for?" Rattling on like a mad old cow. "I'm sorry, I'm tired. Bad day. And I'm sorry for being so boring." "You're not that boring." "I am, Dex. God, I swear I bore myself." "Well, you don't bore me." He took her hand in his. "You could never bore me. You're 1 in a million, Em." "I'm not even 1 in 3." He kicked her foot with his. "Em?" "What?" "You take it. Just take it, will you? Just shut up and take it." They regarded each other for a moment. He lay down once more, and after a moment she followed, and jumped a little when she found out that he had slid her arm beneath her shoulders. There was a self-conscious moment of mutual discomfort before she turned onto her side and curled towards him. Tightening his arm around her, he spoke into the top of her head. "You know what I can't understand? You have all these people telling you all the time how great you are, smart and funny and talented and all that. I mean, endlessly. I've been telling you for years, so why don't you believe it? Why do you think people say that stuff, Em? Do you think it's a conspiracy? People secretly ganging up to be nice about you? She pressed her head against his shoulder to make him stop, or else she felt she might cry. You're nice, but I should go. No, stay a bit longer. We'll get another bottle. Isn't Naomi waiting for you somewhere? Her little mouth crammed full of drugs like a little druggy hamster. She puffed out her cheeks, and Dexter laughed, and she began to feel a little better. They stayed there for a while, then walked down to the off-licence and back up the hill to see the sun set over the city, drinking wine and eating nothing but a large bag of expensive crisps. Strange animal cries could be heard from Regent's Park Zoo, and finally they were the last people on the hill. I should get home, she said, standing woozily. You could stay at mine if you wanted. She thought of the journey home, the Northern Line, the top deck of the N38 bus, then the long perilous walk to the flat that smelt uncontainably of fried onions. When she finally got home, the central heating would probably be on, and Tilly Killick would be there with her dressing gown hanging open, clinging to the radiators like a gecko, and eating pesto out of the jar. There would be teeth marks in the Irish cheddar and 30-something on TV, and she didn't want to go. Borrow a toothbrush, said Dexter, as if reading her thoughts. Sleep on the sofa. She imagined a night spent on the creaking black leather of Dexter's modular sofa, her head spinning with booze and confusion, before deciding that life was already complicated enough. She made a firm resolution, one of the resolutions she was making almost daily these days. No more sleepovers, no more writing poetry, no more wasting time. Time to tidy up your life, time to start again. The end. Thank you for listening. Great reading narrator. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. I try. I'm getting better. I think the first chapter I read of this book, the way it's written is like all over the place. So I was reading too fast, I think, and I would get like really jumbled up over the words and stuff. So now by chapter 4, I've like adapted and I read a little slower so that you can, mostly so I can process like who's talking and what's going on, and so I don't get like tongue tied and stuff, but I really like it. They're so great. They're not like dating, but they clearly are like attracted to each other, and they're just like they're like there for each other, and it's been like a friendship of like years where we're at right now. Yay. Thank you. Yeah, I was. Like, I think the last chapter or 2 chapters ago, I was told, like, it's a little too fast. I couldn't really follow what was going on at some parts, so I slowed it down a bit. So I'm so glad. Thank you. Um, no, I really like it. I love their, like, friendship, like, the dynamic between them and stuff. And, I mean, we already pretty much know. I'm, like, so sure they're gonna end up together, but we're only on chapter 4, so I gotta see what happens. Anyway, I really like it. They made a Netflix show for this book. They made a movie with Anne Hathaway that I don't remember. I remember watching it, but I don't remember. And then they came out with a show, and I know it's just so much better. And the show is only like 12 episodes. Um, it's way better. The actors are better, and I guess because it's a show, it's like more drawn out. They can like include a lot more of the details, so I think it's a lot better. So if you want to know how it ends before we finish the book, I would say watch the Netflix show. But um yeah, I can't wait. It's such a good story. Anyway, yeah. I'm glad you like it. I'm not gonna lie. It might be like easy to tell if you go back and rewatch this, but there was like a point in the middle where I was like, do you ever like, I don't know how to explain this. It's like a very intense, like uncomfortable. Okay, but it's like a physical thing. So like in the middle of the chapter, I felt this where like my back and my arms, so my back started hurting really bad. my arms started feeling really heavy, like right here, I think. And I started feeling really hot, and then I was feeling like out of breath. So like all of that all at once combined, I was like starting to feel panicky. And I don't know if I made it obvious. I'm gonna go back and rewatch this, but it was like in the middle of this chapter where I was like, okay, like just keep reading. Don't freak out. But like, oh my gosh. And it kind of passed. My back still hurts. I'm still hot. But like it kind of passed. But I just was like, I don't know if I can finish the chapter. Like I was like really uncomfortable and I don't know why. Anyway, I don't know if that's ever happened to someone, but it's just like an intense, like physical panic, I guess. Or maybe it's because everything that I just listed, everything happening all at once, like made me start panicking. But I just was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do because I didn't want to stop reading, but I was like, my arms feel so heavy. I want to like put the book down. It's crazy. I feel like I sound crazy. Anyway, I'm good now. It's cool. It was a really good chapter, so I'm glad you caught. I don't know how much you caught, but I'm glad you caught some of it. And I can tell. Oh no, I'm never nervous. No, I'm never nervous. I love reading, but I think I just maybe you're talking about that point that I hit where I was like, should I just put the book down or should I keep reading? It definitely wasn't a nervous thing. I just was like really hot and uncomfortable all of a sudden. But I'm fine. Um, maybe that's what you were detecting. But if you missed the beginning or you want to go back and hear the other chapters before this one, they're all these live streams are posted on my channel. So, yeah. You can totally do that if you want to. Well, water's good. That's better. Anyway, maybe I'm just hungry. I think I'm gonna go eat. But I'm glad I did this. It's been a while. I feel like I was before like December, I was trying to do like a really consistent streaming schedule every week, and then I just got really busy. And I'm gonna blame it on Christmas, but hopefully, well, the goal, not just hopefully, the goal really in January is to start being more consistent with the streaming. Because we were doing like Wednesdays gaming stream, Thursdays read alouds, and Fridays gaming, I think. But I want to get back into that January, so yes. But I probably, well, I don't know, whoa, today is Monday, so Christmas, Christmas. I could probably do a stream Thursday. I just don't want to promise anything. Actually, yeah, honestly, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to do a stream on Thursday, but I'll see. We'll see. Definitely, if you have it, if you're ever on Discord, if you want to join my Discord, I do post updates when I'm going live again on there, so that'd be cool. But unless you're already on there, sorry. But thanks for watching, and yeah, I'm gonna say tentatively I might be able to stream Thursday, but I do have family in town for Christmas, so I might end up wanting to see them more before they leave town. So we'll see. But I love you guys. Thanks. Thanks for hanging out. And stay safe. Also, Merry Christmas. Have a good Christmas. I hope everyone has a really happy one. And I'll see y'all